everyone's here who's accepted.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Mid Wales CJC Transport Subcommittee. Unfortunately, our chair is no longer with us due to him changing out of his portfolio lead. So I need to hand over to the Vice Chair, Councillor Jackie Charlton, to commence this meeting. Jackie, good afternoon. Oh.
Yep, thank you very much, Anne. And it's a really sunny afternoon here, and it gives me great pleasure to be sitting in this position now to hand over to another chair, which I would like to propose. When Councillor Keith stood down, the expectation is that the chair will be taken by a Ceredigion member. So I would like to propose the chair for this meeting and going forwards as Councillor Shelley Childs. Have a seconder, please. Thank you, Alan. I've got a seconder, Alan Williams. So if everybody is okay with that, is there a vote from everybody just to confirm Shelley taking over? Councillor Shelley. Thank you. I can't see any hands up, but I'm assuming no dissent means everybody's in favour. So over to you, Councillor Shelley. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the RTP subcommittee. Yeah, just as you're very well aware, I'm not Keith Henson, and Keith as Jackie mentioned, has stepped down as a cabinet member in Ceredigion, and I've taken over his role, the identical role that he took. Hence I'm here before you today. So if we maybe proceed with the agenda. And go to apologies. I've got one apology from Clive Davis, who's attending another council matter today. Are there any other apologies from anybody?
Yes, got apologies from Councillor Angela Davis, Councillor David Selby, Matt Perry, Sean James and Phil Jones.
Well, it is a nice day, so we'll let them off. Yes. So that's great, Jonathan. Thank you. We then move on to the minutes of the previous meeting, which are on pages 3 to 6 of the documents that were sent out. Can we just quickly flick through them and make sure that they are a true and correct record? You okay to just flick through, or would you like me to read out the minutes of the last meeting?
Chair, could I just raise one matter on page 5 under one of the actions? It was to review the agenda pack of the full committee, and it states in the minutes of the 28th of February. In actual fact, the meeting was the 28th of January.
Okay, thank you for that. As this is my first chairing, should I make a note of that point, or is Jonathan making a note of that point?
Jonathan will make a note to amend the minutes accordingly. Thank you.
Okay. Can I have a proposal then that the minutes are, aside from that point, true and correct? And thank you, Alan, and a seconder. Thank you, Jackie. Okay. I think we can move on to point 3, which is the regional transport plan for consideration report. We do have, bear with me, I've got everything set out here, but I've in my haste I've actually lost one of the documents.
Not at all, Councillor Shelley. I'll take this item on for you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to acknowledge the work that's gone into this document, 254 pages, which, you know, we've all had a scan through. It's very comprehensive. And shall I hand over to you then, Anne, to introduce the consultants? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Yes, to say I've done a quick report to update members. The Regional Transport Plan Subcommittee is being updated on the work of the Regional Transport Plan as required by Welsh Government, the CJC regulations and subsequent guidelines. Since our last meeting on the 21st of January, where we set out a draft plan for public consultation between the 3rd of February and 4th of April, in line with guidance. The outcome of that consultation, proposed amendments to the plan, are shown in appendices attachment A, which is our consultation report. And I'd like to invite WSP Alice and Reese to take you through a presentation to explain that document to you, and we can then take subsequent questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. I'll kick us off. If you could just give me a moment to pull up the presentation and give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Give me a moment.
Okay,
Yep.
we can see it now. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, thanks for joining. It's been a bit of a journey getting to this point, but I think we're finally really close. To start with, I thought we would show a bit of a timeline of what we've achieved so far, and I guess what point we've reached, which is today. So we, as you can see here, we're now at the point where we are seeking CJC approval of the RTP prior to final submission to Welsh Government in May 2025, which is days away. So exciting times, absolutely. So ahead of approval and final submission, we thought that it would be useful to show a graphic of what it is we're submitting, because there's been a lot of work and there's been a lot of documents that form this process. So as you can see here, we have the RTP itself and its associated appendices there, all of which have been produced in line with Welsh Government guidance. So this is what we will be seeking approval for and submitting to Welsh Government. Does anybody have questions? I'll give you a moment to sort of have a look at that. If not, we can sort of move on. Okay. So in the last few weeks, Alice and I have been producing a consultation report, which followed the public consultation during February and March. And the consultation report is effectively a summary of the activities undertaken to date and the public feedback on the regional transport plan. And I'll sort of summarize the public consensus on the RTP. I know that many of us have sort of been following the feedback in our sessions, but I will re-summarize what the sort of final results were. So feedback on objectives. Our highest scoring objective was objective 3, relating to the improvement of strategic connectivity, with 74% of respondents identifying this objective as being relevant. Whereas our lowest performing objective, as you can see there, was objective number 5, which relates to increasing levels of walking, cycling, and wheeling, with 38% of respondents identifying this as being not so relevant or not so favoured. But generally, we found that our objectives performed relatively well, with more positive responses than the negative ones. And I think that this is because our objectives were deep rooted in the problems that we identified as Mid Wales facing. Okay, so feedback on our policies. So our accessibility, connectivity, and environmental policies were the best received, if you like, while our walking, cycling, and wheeling policies were slightly lower scoring. and I think the public consensus, the general public feedback was that we needed to do more to increase the understanding of our policies in order to identify how we deliver change, if you like. Feedback on schemes. So public consensus was that public schemes were deemed most promising, whereas our behaviour change schemes were not so favoured, if you like. And all 8 schemes were deemed more ineffective than effective, which is what we sort of expected, I guess, because that's probably one of the more contentious issues. So these are all sort of results that we have been keeping up with, if you like. But here are some more general comments on the plan. I'll give you a moment to sort of read through these, but I'll pick out 1 or 2 that were quite prevalent in our results. So that top point there is that some respondents were skeptical surrounding whether the actions and the schemes in the plan would be delivered in reality. That was a common theme that came up in our responses. Another common sort of comment was that people wanted to see enhancements to bus services and public transport generally in the region, and that reliability and affordability were key sticking points at present. I'll pick 1 or 2 near the bottom now. We received some feedback from public that the plan was a little lengthy and complex, given the scale of the document, if you like, and we received some comments on the survey, which is where we've taken our feedback from, that the survey was a little long and complicated for people to provide sort of meaningful and concise comments. So I'll give you a moment to read through this general feedback, but if anybody's got any questions on any of these points or want to discuss any of them further, then if you could raise your hand. Councillor Shelley Childs?
Yeah, just one question. How many responders were there to the survey? I did miss that, sorry, in the past.
Yeah, Alice, do you have the number of respondents to hand?
I want to say it was 214.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, thank you.
Councillor Becky Charlton?
Thank you. My question really is, I mean, you're saying that people felt that the survey was too long for any meaningful or concise comments. I mean, that's quite worrying in a way, as that, you know, what we're expecting is that that consultation will provide us with the impetus to take this particular plan forward. The regional transport plan is a really important plan to us all here across Ceredigion and Powys. It is a bit worrying, so I'm just wondering what our comments should be around that, and should we be concerned about that as politicians trying to take transport plans forward, but also as 2 local authorities where transport actually is a really important element of what we're trying to do in our local authorities, both for the economy and for the community.
Come back on some of this. I think that the complexity of the survey, I would say that the survey on its own wasn't our only means of communication with the public. We did allow them the opportunity of writing to us to set out their thoughts on the plan. So they did have an opportunity to write to us as well and communicate in another way other than the survey. And I would say that by its very nature, this is a technical policy document, and a lot of our respondents wanted to tell us that they would like to have a walking and cycling scheme delivered, or they would like a bus service reinstated. Very personal to the individual, rather than being subjective about the policy content and what the policies will deliver for the region.
Thank you for that. I'm not sure whether that's what we want to hear, but it's where we are. So I just wonder whether we could just make a note of that for future consultations to make sure that what we're doing actually provides the opportunity for people to actually feed in those stories, because they might be individual and personal, but they're very strong stories when they're put to the narrative against the rest of this. And I'm sure other people have similar stories as well. So capturing that is useful, but it doesn't look like we can really make much use of that going forward with the document. So not a criticism, just an observation.
Thank you, Councillor Jackie. Does anybody else have any comments on this? Okay. I'll pass over. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just to say, you know, it's disappointing, isn't it? But you know, we understand broadly what the public want. I think there's a lack of confidence that it can be delivered, isn't there? And a certain sort of cynicism. And I think we've got a long way to go before convincing the public of the benefits of active travel in a rural area. So you know, a lot of message. I thoroughly support the direction we're heading in, but I think there's a lot of food for thought about our ability to convince the general public, and not just for ourselves, but I think Welsh Government has to think about this as well.
Thank you, Alan. Councillor Shelley Childs.
Yeah, Alan just reminded me there that I am slightly disappointed with the scoring for the walking, wheeling, and cycling aspect. But I do think that with that particular discipline or the experience that people have, it takes time for it's almost like if you build it, they will come with active travel, I believe. So you know, you connect more villages together and more parts of bigger towns, and they eventually get used. And I think if you think about it, you know, it's not that surprising in a way that was the lowest scoring of them all, for that reason. But I don't think we should be too despondent about that, because I do feel that things progress quite nicely with usage of active travel routes once they're delivered. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any more? Okay, I'll hand over to Alice now to sort of take you through what we've done with this feedback, if you like. So I'll pass over to you, Alice.
Thanks, Rhys. Yeah, as Rhys said, just going to summarise some of the updates that we've made to the RTP based on the comments and the feedback that we've received, both specific on the schemes, policies and objectives, but also that free text that people were able to provide, and then the additional comments that people have submitted by email as well. So I'll just go through these. In terms of the feedback, this was one that was discussed a couple of meetings ago. In terms of the Montgomery Canal, in terms of the scheme reference, so it was suggested that the scheme reference should be updated to incorporate paddling and boarding, paddling and boating. Also, the route of the canal should be updated to extend between Welshpool and, sorry, not Welsh, but someone jump in, Rhys.
Llanymynech.
Thank you. And then there was also a reference to 4 road bridges to be lifted on the end of this scheme. So it was that it should be implementing a walking, cycling and scheme along the Montgomery Canal, but that would also include 4 road bridges to be lifted. It was also suggested that this should be removed from the scheme description due to the significant ecological damage that this would bring. So as you can see on the right, we've updated that scheme to read with those updates. If you just pop onto the next one. So we also went through this one about talking about road safety partnership and making sure that the road safety policy included reference to the Welsh Government Road Safety Partnership Plan. So as you can see on the right, that's been updated to say that the policy and measures for road safety would align to the emerging road safety partnership plan. Further to this, some other policies have been updated. So they have been updated to explain how they would link to economic development, housing development, town planning, and how these kind of themes would be supported. So it listed there the schemes that have been updated to demonstrate how these will be delivered, and how the policies will support these themes to be delivered. Reference to community transport was also raised, and that it needed to be included within the RTP policies. So policy ACC6 has been updated to include reference to the community transport services, and it's also been noted in the RTP that the community transport will continue to be funded directly by Welsh Government. Just lastly on this page, the Welsh National Travel Survey was mentioned that should be included in the monitoring and evaluation plan. So that has been included in the appendices of the the appendix monitoring and evaluation plan. And it's been, the Wales National Travel Survey has been included as one of the data sources for the monitoring and evaluation plan. On to the next slide, please, Reese. Then there was another feedback raised by the Welsh Government about the proposed schemes, and that they should be assessed based on the scheme objectives and deliverability, and not just the scheme objectives, which is how the first draft of the RTP was assessed. The schemes were assessed. So the Welsh Government prioritisation tool has been updated and used to reassess the long list of schemes against both the scheme objectives and deliverability criteria. This has then led to the RTDP being updated to set out a new prioritised list of schemes. Appendix 8 prioritisation tool note has also been updated to reflect these changes and how the prioritisation tool has been used to assess the schemes. The RTDP has should also set out local authority or funding bodies responsible for the scheme delivery. So updates have been made to categorise the schemes into the following themes based on their ownership and funding routes. So local authority delivered schemes, local authority studies, Welsh Government delivered schemes, and other funders. And then lastly, a sequence delivery funding programme should be set out for the proposed schemes within the RTP. So within the RTP, a sequence delivery funding programme has now been set out for all local authority delivered schemes. So that just gives a bit of a summary of some of the updates that we've been making to the RTP and the appendices following the feedback from both public and stakeholder consultation. I'll just pause there if anyone has any questions to follow up on.
Okay, shall I think that concludes our presentation. So I'll hand back to Councillor Shelley Childs. All right.
Thank you, Reese.
Thank you, Reese. We should have a discussion about this before the recommendations, Anne, or are you happy to proceed?
Yes, I just wanted to open it because obviously there was other documentation with the appendices made available to everybody. Was there any questions you'd like to raise in regard to the appendices provided for this meeting?
Councillor Charlton.
Yeah, I don't know whether this applies to the appendices, but it is a question that I wanted to ask really on behalf of my local authority in a way, because the regional transport plan now, if it's approved by the CJC here this afternoon, it then goes off to Welsh Government and we seek their approval for it as well, and we wait for that to come back. I'm assuming that's the process now, isn't it?
If I could just confirm that the process is we're making a recommendation to the full CJC, which will meet on the 6th of May,
Right.
and it will be for them to accept your recommendation.
Right, thank you. So just needed to know that. And then when Welsh Government come back and say, yep, your RTP is ready to go, off you go with it. It's down to us as local authorities to then deliver this. I'm not absolutely clear that we all know that whether our RTP is going to be funded, but I'm assuming we will have to wait for Welsh Government to come back to us to tell us whether that is the case or not. So we're a bit on tenterhooks. I'm assuming till we get that feedback. But the other area for me as well is, do we actually have an opportunity at some point through the CJC to decide what our priorities are within the CJC across us regionally, to see whether we want to prioritise things that are important to us as local authorities, because they could be similar, they could be different. So I just really wanted to clarify where we are once we get to the RTP all approved and all the money that we want. So we're in a position to deliver it. How do we actually proceed from there on?
Okay, the Regional Transport Delivery Plan is the responsibility of the individual local authorities. Whether the CJC wishes to bring the two authorities back together to discuss how that, if whatever funding is provided is distributed and to which schemes, I would think that government would be keen for that to happen.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking in a way for the working group here is because we know the Welsh Government are looking at different ways of funding transport as we go forward. We don't know what the details are of that, but we have been given some information. It's a bit of a taster, if you like, to say to us, this is what we would like to do as Welsh Government, and we are anticipating this is how you will deliver it. So it will be more devolved. So I'm assuming that would mean it's more important for us to become closer aligned through the CJC to deliver on our plans.
I think the detail is yet undetermined, and we're waiting for government to provide more advice to the CJC on this basis.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And just needed the things I just needed to be clarify in my own head, but that's useful to hear that. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you so
That's
much.
me to me. Yeah, just one question from me regarding the prioritization and the programs that have been decided. It's a 5-year plan, isn't it? What happens if and those projects are locked in after we recommend and everything goes live? What happens if something else comes to light, a project that's maybe not, just skipped under the radar, something that's very concerning in terms of road safety and needs a quicker action than 5-year plan? Is this body able to recommend or bring a project like that into discussion, or would it be sorry, wait till 2030?
It's a very good question. I always say that a plan and its program are organic, and you can never tell what the next 5 year holds from us. We're presenting a proposal today on the information made available to us. If circumstances and things change, I think that it's only right that you should be able to bring things back to rediscuss them.
Yeah. Who knows whether I'll be here in 5 years' time, but there are some. I just haven't got any specific examples, but it's just good to know that it's not just a lockout, and we can have those discussions.
I would say that there are a number of work streams on the programme which are flexible in their nature, that will be developed as the 5 year programme goes on, and that perhaps gives you the flexibility that you're looking for within those.
Yeah, Johan. So has anyone else got any questions there then, following on from that? Shall we go to the recommendation then, Anne?
Yes, if you would, thank you.
Yeah, to note the content of the report regarding the draft RTP rather, and appendices consultation. Do we do them separately? I guess we need a proposer for that one, or would you like to do them both together?
I would do them separately for the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So for point 5, the recommendation, I'll read it again. To note the content of the report regarding the draft RTP and appendices consultation. Do we have a proposer? Not sure I can propose it myself, can I?
Yeah, I'll second that, Shelley.
Okay. Jackie. And point 6 then is to recommend to the CJC committee on the 6th of May 2025 to approve the amendments to the final RTP and appendices and send the documents to Welsh Government for approval. Any proposer there, Alan?
Yeah, happy to propose, or if Alan's proposing, I'm happy to second.
Diolch, Alan. Diolch, Jackie. And there we have it there. I think that means that we just need to give the date of the next meeting. Anne, is that correct?
Yes, I think it's on the agenda.
Yeah, it's the 8th of July at 2:30 p.m. So yeah, thank you everybody for today's discussion, and I think I can close the meeting, can I?
Yes, thank you, Councillor.
Sorry for my naivety. My first ever
no,
chair,
not at all.
Apologies.
You'll be fine. Okay. You'll be great next time, Shelley. You'll know all about it by then.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thanks very much then.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.